Well, this is a proper talking head video, folks. So it's been 3 weeks since I got the Xperia 5.4, and obviously I did a video recently talking about my first week with the phone. And in that first week, there wasn't really anything that was a real problem. However, in the 2 weeks since then, a few more things have sort of popped up and are starting to affect my usage. So we'll talk about those a little bit. So a minor issue seems to be that the phone is every so often switching back into 60 hertz mode. And as somebody who can quite easily see the difference between 60 hertz and 120 hertz, that becomes quite jarring, where it just all of a sudden just stops working. And I found that if you toggle off the high refresh rate and then toggle it back on, it's then fine, it's sorted it out, or you can alternatively restart the phone. This isn't ideal. It is a little bit jarring and slightly frustrating at times, but it doesn't really affect the use of the phone. The phone's really not running apps in the background very well, and I don't know if this is down to a RAM management issue or something else, but it's closing apps rather aggressively, and it can be within 3 or 4 different apps that you've been using, and it'll start closing them that quickly. You don't have to open many apps at all. In fact, there's a number of occasions where I've been in, say, YouTube or even Twitter, and I've gone to the home screen, maybe gone to reply to a message, gone back to Twitter, and the whole app is reopening again. And then this does become a little bit frustrating because the phone doesn't seem to be that quick in reopening these apps either. So sometimes it can sort of hang a little bit on that initial animation until it then opens. But then again, it can be closing again within seconds, depending on what you're doing, switching between other apps. And that messaging app you've just been in also closed and reopening again when you go back in. That gets quite frustrating. And then when you pair that with the 60 hertz bug kicking at the same time, it feels really slow and janky, and it just feels pretty terrible, to be perfectly honest. And then there's an issue with the screen. I mentioned in my previous video that I had a glass screen protector on there and I had to take it off because the phone just wasn't responding properly to imports, and especially when you were trying to swipe at the edges for gestures. And whilst it is a lot better, it still struggles at times. And quite often when I'm trying to use the gestures, it'll not work, but then it'll act as though I'm pressing something else. So accidental touches are happening quite a bit. That's frustrating me a little bit, but it just doesn't feel. It doesn't feel as responsive to touch as some previous Xperia devices, like the Xperia 5.2 that I had. That thing was lightning, and it was so smooth. It felt fantastic, and the latest phones seem to not feel that way. The Xperia 1.4 felt very similar, but it didn't have the issues with the touch response that this phone has, and I'm finding it a little bit frustrating. So there's something not quite adding up, and I don't really know what it is. But even without the screen protector on, it's still not perfect. And then again, when you pair that with the RAM management issues and the phone dropping to 60 hertz, that it just feels like a very disjointed experience at the minute, and that's starting to bug me. Don't get me wrong, in terms of doing anything with the phone, I'm not having any issues. A lot of people spoke about overheating issues with the Xperias. I've not really had that at all, and it's been fantastic. I mean, don't get me wrong, as I've said before, it is winter, so it's not exactly the sort of ambient temperatures that you would expect it to struggle with, but it's definitely performing perfectly well in that respect. I'm recording this video on it now. I recorded a video the other day that was 20 minutes long in 4K 30. Was absolutely no issues whatsoever. So doing things with the phone, absolutely not a problem, but the day-to-day basic uses, that is a problem, and it's starting to bug me so much that actually my SIM card right now is back in the nothing phone. which, you know, shouldn't be the case, but the Nothing phone feels much smoother, much faster to use in general use, which that shouldn't be the case when this phone's, you know, got fantastic specs. There's something not quite right with the software. I don't think I can blame it all on Android 13, because the Xperia 1 Mark IV did feel a little bit strange even before that, but not with the same sort of issues. But then it's got more RAM as well, so it's difficult to tell. I think Sony just need to really get on top of software. It's the one thing that holds Xperia back. It's the one reason why a lot of people don't want to invest in the devices, because they don't feel like the devices are going to be supported long enough, and the issues that do pop up take too long to get sorted out. And that's seemingly the case with the 5.4. I've had a look on Reddit, and actually there's a lot of people having similar issues and others as well. So yeah, I'd like to see Sony get on top of it. And I say that as somebody who absolutely loves Xperia devices. You know, they're invaluable in what I am doing and the other things that I enjoy as well. So hopefully they can do it. I mean, Sony, come on. Sort it out. Sort it out. Right, until the next one, folks, stay grounded. I'll see you soon.